Our scripture today is 2 Samuel 16. This passage and those to come are full of twists and turns, spies, betrayal, lies, incest, and more sin. Please bear with me as I remind you of a couple of relationships in our reading. King David was anointed by God to reign as king over Israel. After David came to reign as king, he asked to be united with anyone left of Saul's household, and Mephibosheth, Jonathan's son, was brought to him by Ziba, a servant of Saul, and then of Mephibosheth. David restored Saul's inheritance to Mephibosheth. Finally, Absalom was the third son of David. He killed his oldest brother for raping his sister. He was then exiled for 3 years from his family and home. When he was finally home again, his father, the king, refused to see him for another 2 years. This gave Absalom a lot of time to plan his revenge on his father. As David fled from Jerusalem, Ziba showed great kindness to David by bringing him donkeys, bread, fruit, and wine. Ziba had his own agenda, though. He lied to David about Mephibosheth, saying that he was in Jerusalem, waiting to take the throne and restore Saul's family to power. David was hurt, because in a time of crisis, the last thing he needed to hear was that another friend had turned against him. David acted on the only information that he had at the time, and he rewarded Ziba with everything that he previously gave to Mephibosheth. Although this passage is full of lessons for us to learn, let me ask you to think on only 3. First, take care to hear both sides of any story before acting on what you're told. Secondly, beware of those that flatter you. They may be setting a trap. Finally, and third, a sin, whether it's done in secret or out in the open, will create chaos in your life and those around you. And now, 2 Samuel 16. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruit, and a bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, What meanest thou by these? And Ziba said, The asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, And where is thy master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he abideth at Jerusalem, for he said, Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, thine are all that pertained unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech thee that I may find grace in thy sight, my lord, O king. And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came, and he cast stones at David, and at all the servants of King David. And all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, Come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial. The Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned, and the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. And the king said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth out of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for the Lord hath bidden him. It may be that the Lord will look on mine affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. And the king, and all the people that were with him, came weary, and refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king, God save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? And Hushai said unto Absalom, Nay, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son, as I have served in thy father's presence? So will I be in thy presence. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So with all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. Our prayer today is for a humble spirit. Ask the Lord to comfort you when affliction comes, and help you to not be provoked by the actions of others.